Today is a day we will learn a lot from one of our uncles. And before I go there, I would like to give a special appreciation to our sister Ms. May for playing DJ, particularly with the song of Emmanuel Kembe. Let us celebrate. That is indeed a very good reason for the people of South Sudan to celebrate something. The peace agreement which had been signed in Khartoum need to be celebrated, and we, the South Sudanese communities in Clubhouse, have no any other way we can celebrate that peace collectively aside from being in the room, such as this. So thank you so much, Ms. DJ, Ms. May, for the Emmanuel Kembe song. It fits well with us. And at this moment here, it is time to bring in our special guest. And so, Mr. Coordinator, or those of you who are in charge of the coordination of bringing Uncle up here, prepare yourself to bring him over to come and conduct his presentation.
He's already with us. He's already with us. Yes. His profile reads RV, so Real By. That's his name.
Oh, okay.
So refresh your.
Yes, Real By. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Okay, welcome, Uncle Desho Daudu. Thank you so much for availing yourself to be available with us here. Your children and your grandchildren, I'm sure, are happy and have been patiently waiting to welcome you. Welcome into the room. Before I continue into our programs today, I would like to introduce myself and give my co-moderators chances also to introduce themselves so we can know who are conducting today's show. My name is Peter Moranyar Biet. It is as it is there under my picture. That's my correct name. I'm going to be the head of moderation today. And from here, I would hand it over to Ms. May to give us her name. And part of the reason why we are doing this is because some of us here have nicknames, and we're using nicknames as our Clubhouse profile name. And what we are here for is the real issue. And as a result, it must be represented by the real people. For that reason there, I'll hand the chance over to Ms. May to introduce herself, tell us her name, and then she will hand it over to the next moderator down all the way to the moderation assistant. Ms. May?
Hello, yes, thank you everybody, and I greet you all wherever you are. It's afternoon, evening, or good morning. It's good morning in Australia, it's 3 a.m. My name is, it's being said it's Miss May, but my actual name is Cho Madutri. Thank you.
John, thank you so much, Ms. May.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Flora John. I'm known as Adele John. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Flora John and Ms. Adele in real name. Next is you, Ms. Fraser Barr.
Hi everyone, I greet you all, whatever you are. My name is Teresa, and then my another name is Akur Dengbar. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Auntie Akur Dengdao. Thank you so much for being here all the time with us.
Akur
Dengbar. Sorry about that. To the audience, you might see some of us here with green tags and some of us with no green tags. In full, Brother John Ochang was supposed to be part of our moderation here. Unfortunately, it seems that he's now there. He just showed up. So we're going to bring John Ochang up here too. He's one of us. You see some of us here with green buttons and some don't. The reason we're doing this is later on, I know there are people who are going to have some questions here. So we try to minimize people with access to the green button so that we can really know who brings people up and who drop people. Brother John, Sister Tommy, and the name that you see there as Ding is actually Nyanding. So that's a female's name. You will hear her voice, and you will agree with me that she's really a girl. They are going to help us in the moderation as well. They are part of the team. The reason we just minimize folks with the green tag is so that we can have a control over the room, as nothing special about us or not special about them. Now I would give our assistants a chance to introduce themselves, tell us their real names, who they are, and whether they're girls or boys. We will hear it from their voices. Ding.
Hi everyone, my name is Yendeng Mayon. One of the assistant moderators here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Deng or Nyandeng. You know, it is really important that we really clarifies our names and our genders so that when you are addressed, then the audience will be able to use proper pronouns. Then to our right is Tony. And Sister Tony, activate your mic and tell us yourself.
Hello everyone, my name is Tony, aka Mariana. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sister Tony, and thank you, the moderators. Now, and okay, yes, Brother John is up here. John Uchang, please, if you don't mind, if you're hearing me, activate your mic, introduce yourself. And John Uchang, we had waited for you. You are going to be part of the moderation assistant along with Deng or Nyandeng and Sister Tony, and you, three of you will help us in the moderation here. And also, you are one of the people who had been given or granted a special treatment here. So you're going to have your own question too later on to ask when the time for the question and answers come. So John, activate your mic and take over from me.
Thank you, the people of South Sudan. I salute you in the name of God and in the name of the flag of South Sudan. Thank you so much. My name is John Luko Chiang, and I'm here. I'm here with you. I will be here part of you. At the same time, I will be also the co-moderating team. If later on the time for questioning come, if you can really give me also, even though I question maybe around maybe 3 questions, will be enough for me. But I need really ample time to be really given. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother John Wuchang. John Wuchang is one of the veterans of the SPLA, SPLM, so we salute you, brother, for your service. Thank you so much. We have our country now as a result of your work and people like you. Thank you so much. And to the audience, welcome to the Jeng Mumtuk Clubhouse. The Jeng Mumtuk Clubhouse is a social media established for the Jeng people to address their cultural issues and invite prominent figures such as Uncle Joshua we have today and some other members of Jeng Council of Elders to come and address some of the concerns that the Jeng people may have. It is just like any other clubhouse that South Sudanese people had established. It is a social media established to bring the Jeng people together from all over the world. Welcome to the Jeng Mumtuk Clubhouse. With that there, I would like to lay out how our program will be. In that way, we can see the arrangement of today's show, and I would like to give me a minute here. The outline of our program will be like this. After me, we are going to have introduction, and it will be done by Sister Ms. May or Achel Ring. And then, of course, I will do, and then the presentation. And after presentation, there will be Q&A or question and answers, and then the conclusion. the housekeeping will be kept by Sister Flora John. So Flora John is going to keep our show today in order. If she drops you, then
network do Chugwaria, what network? Your reception. All right, while are you back? If you have better reception, come back and
to
finish.
understand our uncle. Those of you who have concern and questions about the Gen, can you hear me? Can you hear?
Yes, that's better. Go ahead, Wal. Bentham.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, I can hear you now. I could hear you actually. So the intention of the show today is to learn more from Uncle Joshua with regards to the Gen Council of Elders and the article of Carol. He's a member of Gen Council of Elders. His name had been mentioned in the article of Carol. Some people call it the Book of Carol. He's here today. You will listen from him. Those of you who want to know more about the Gen Council of Elders, he's here to address that, just as we did last month with regard to Uncle Aldo Ajo. So with that now, I would like to give Sister Miss May a chance to give us the biography of Uncle Joshua David. Who is Uncle Joshua David, Sister Shelby?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Wal. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome our esteemed guest today, Uncle Joshua David, and we are actually quite privileged to have him on our platform. It's humbling for people like us if we invite him to come here and be with us today, and he has agreed to be. So it's actually quite an appreciation to him and to those of us that have been working to prepare for today. So to give a brief bio of Uncle Joshua David, as you've heard his name, it's Joshua David. He's one of our veterans, one of our grandfather, and one of the founder of Gen Council of Elders. Uncle Joshua was born in 1942. He is from the Gen section, specifically from Luach, which is also called Luanya Kongwea in Jonglei State. Uncle Joshua has a degree in theology, and as well as acquired his master's degree in theology in the Near East School of Theology in Beirut, that's in Lebanon. He has also worked extensively within South Sudan, the Sudan, as well as in East African countries. His first role was the Commissioner of the Youth and Sports in Malakal, which dated back in 1972 to 1973. He was also a member of the Regional Assembly South Sudan in Juba, 1974 to 1978. Uncle has also been an educator, and he has been a lecturer in two different educational sectors. He has been a lecturer of theology in Mukono Theological College in Uganda in 1975 to 1976. He has also lectured in the Limuru United Theological College in Kenya in 1976 to 1978. He has also worked in the Ministry of Education in South Sudan as a director for religious affairs in Juba and in Khartoum from 1978 to 2005. He's also held a role in the Ministry of the Presidency in the Khartoum as a chairman for the rights of non-Muslims in the national capital, Khartoum, from 2006 to 2011. As well as, not forgetting that he's also been a legislator, he's also a senator, the deputy chairman, the Committee of Foreign Relations in the Council of States. Right now, which they, is still current, a role that he began way back in 2011. This is a man who has had a long service role to our country as well as you've heard in his bio that he has also given services to the neighboring countries, and he's with us here today. So it's a privilege to have him, and I'll give the mic back to Juan. Thank you for that.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ms. Bay. Thank you so much for the brief and impressive biography. Actually, in his biography, one word will made me actually feel very, very comfortable that he studied theology and he taught theology, which means he's here to tell us the truth, but truth only. That's all he will tell us here, because I have a big faith when it comes to those people with the religious background. Without further comments and statements, I would like to welcome Uncle Joshua Dowd onto the platform. Uncle Joshua, if you are hearing my voice clearly, for those who just showed up, that's Uncle Joshua that you see there with RB. His profile doesn't have a picture, but his name is there. RB is him. Is Uncle Joshua, and the RB. If you actually click on that profile, supposedly profile picture of his, it will say Real Bike. That's Uncle Joshua right there. Uncle Joshua, if you're hearing my voice, activate your mic and welcome to the platform. And our topics today are, of course, your response to the article of Carol. And if you can say a little more about Young Council of Elders, it would be really, really helpful for your children here. I would not call them audience. I would just rather describe the audience as your children. Welcome, Uncle.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, and the audience. I'm really privileged for being with you this evening, according to East African time. I'm grateful indeed to know most of you by their parents, especially you, Peter, you, one Peter. We have been very, very intimate with your dad and everybody here. I know most of you by their parents, and I'm really privileged to be with you. And I'm thankful that you have created a forum, Young Namtok, to reach out and to hear more of what we are doing as a community. And I think that's a great, great achievement. So I would thank everybody who has come out and listened to what we are going to be talking about. The first thing I would like to talk about is the role of JCE. JCE has been an instrumental body in our society, and we formed ourselves back in 2013, 2014, and that's when we began to be like other communities that had formed their own communal societies or commissions or whatever you would like to call them, as a social organization, a civil organization. And I think you have, some of you must have the privilege of reading what we have written or what I sent out about Young Council of Elders and the definition and what Young elders do in our respective communities. And I said that is a very important thing that we have to know. So I would not dwell on the GM Council of Elders, because all of you know what the role of elders are in different communities of GM as well as non-GM communities. They have their communal bodies. So what I would like to get into is what you have already heard of my response to Dr. Carroll, who wrote a document after making some research and interview. So I read this document as soon as it came out, and it was in the social media. But when it was discussed in the clubhouse, I had to produce another copy in order to go through it and I made some points which are very brief, and I think what she did was an agitation for the never-ending civil war in South Sudan, putting against one another our communities. And so that is the title of the book, that Agitation for Never-Ending Civil War in South Sudan. She called it a different name, but this is what has transpired from her own document. Second thing is to appreciate her own position. I heard of her long ago as a good reporter in Khartoum and in Sudan. And I know that she is a highly qualified person and she has good academic records. And at the time she was working as a journalist, she was very much a distinguished reporter. So there's no doubt about her efficiency in and scholarly work in reporting. But as she undertook this assignment of her research, she was appointed and she was commissioned by the UN. The UNAMIS, that is in South Sudan, engaged her to make a research on South Sudan. And this is where she went down to our communities, particularly Rumbek, and went to Wau, went to Abyei, and to many other areas, making this research. So in this research, it is my conviction that she has made a lot of contradictions. And instead of being a scholar without prejudice, she has become biased in this and made a lot of destruction, a lot of contradictions, a lot of points which would not allow us to appreciate what she has been making a research on. She took the Jing as a community to be against others. So this thing, this kind of research, this kind of prejudice, I've described it as a result of two factors. The first one is the old age that she has run into. So the old age brings a lot of unfortunate disadvantages, particularly when you become senile, you are no longer seeing things objectively. So this is the first unfortunate position she has run into. So she was not able to be efficient as we thought. The second thing is that she has become a victim of those who have assigned her the research program. And this is what you call a conspiracy theory, which those who assign her to make this thing to search particularly to their interest so that they can have a good position to judge. And therefore, this is a distorted way of life of Mwanjang that she wrote, and we are not happy with it, or personally, I'm not happy with it, because this setting Mwanjang against non-Mwanjang is to cause a perpetual or continuous conflict among the communities. The conflict that will never end, because this has created hatred and prejudice and bias among our people. That Mwanjang or Jiang is working hard to dominate others. And this I have quoted a document to justify why I reached this conclusion. When she writes, this working paper documents the strategy of the Dinka-led government of South Sudan to achieve dominance over other communities. Truly, this is no longer an independent opinion, no longer good judgment, but no truth in this, because, as I said, no slightest grain of truth in this statement, apart from being a total of information to ignorant sponsors of her research project. So there is no Dinka-led government. It is only SPLM-led government in the South, with other political parties participating in the government. So there is no GM government that can have this plan. So I went back to justify this fact that when Southerners became conscious of their right to become a nation, go back to 1947 up to 2005, the 1947 conference and meeting with the Anglo-Egyptian government was composed of many different people. You can mention some of them, like late Kalaman Mboro. He was not a Dinka, but he led as an educated person. He led that group, and many chiefs, including Lolik, the father of late Dr. Lolik, they were participants, and many others from Equatoria. They challenged the colonial British government that why do you leave us in the hands of the North, which is dominating us? So that was a group of Southerners who joined together and fought for the independence of the South. When that position was rejected, Southerners went into war in 1955, the mutiny of the Southern garrison in Torit, composed of all the Southern tribes. So there was no single tribe or GM dominating others or liberating the South for itself. It was all the Southerners that joined in this kind of program of self-rule and liberty. So SPLM, similarly, when according to 1972 agreement, when it was also defied by the North, the SPLM was formed by all the Southern communities, all the Southern ethnic groups, all the Southern tribes fought against the North. And therefore, SPLM was a political body of all the Southerners. And therefore, to say that the Southerners are being dominated by GM, this is not in place. Therefore, it is my conviction that this government that the Southerners govern, when they came to govern themselves in Addis Ababa, according to Addis Ababa Accord, the government was led by 3 different people, and they were not Mwanjang, and they were based on partisan lines. Abel Alier was from Southern Front, Joseph Lago, and Abel was a Dinka. Joseph Lago, who led the Nyanya movement, took over from Abel with votes of everybody that was in SANU, in Southern Front, and other parties, Liberal Party, for instance. They all supported Joseph Lago, and Joseph Lago became the president of High Executive Council. Similarly with engineer James Tombara, he was also voted in by all the Southerners and ruled the South. So to say that GM is dominating and GM-led government is a false accusation against Mwanjang. And this is an agitation to other tribes. Similarly, when the CPA was concluded in 2005, President Salva Kiir took over after John Garang died, according to hierarchy of the SPLA, not because he was a Dinka or GM. You pardon me, audience and the group, I will be using GM more than Dinka. So when I use the word GM and you have the audience have non-Dinka, they know that I'm referring to Dinka. President Salva Kiir came to take over from John Garang according to hierarchy of the movement. And so he was deputized by Dr. Riek Machar and Dr. James Waniga. And this is a non-Dinka government. So for her to say that this led GM government this is a very bad destruction of the real situation in our country. Similarly, the ministers were appointed by different parties. Now we come to the revitalized transitional government of national unity. It is Salva Kiir who continues in the same way as he was elected by all the people of the South and not Yang alone. And he is being, for the time being, he's being deputized by 5 other vice presidents. So, and these are not necessarily Moanyang, and they were appointed by their respective political parties. Therefore, to shift the national political program and agenda to be of an ethnic body, an agenda, is unfortunately a distortion of the real situation and agitating other tribes to be against Moanyang. So Dr. Berger has deviated from the real program that he should have been objective. And this is unfortunately, as you can see, her quoting is that this working paper documents the strategy of the Dinka-led government of South Sudan to achieve dominance over states' instruments of power and claim the land of non-Dinka. This is serious destruction and it is a dangerous conspiracy to instigate non-Jiang communities to believe that that is a strategy of the government. The government composed of other nationalities, other communities, cannot plot when the cabinet is even not, half of it is not Jiang. This again to me is far-fetched, wild and empty imaginary situation because it is not based on any facts here. There is only one SPLM-led government in South Sudan. The structure of SPLM is well known to all the people worldwide. When and how can this agenda of the political party or military movement, liberation movement, can be twisted to be termed a dominant a tribal body to dominate other communities? South Sudan National Dialogue Conference recently convened in Juba, and which is the national capital, and declared that we are one nation, one people. So to allege that SPLA is an ethnic Jiang army and to SPLM is a political party of the Jiang and is dominating others, this to me is unfortunate for her to reach that conclusion to persuade others to be against Moanyang. So I'm sure that none of our communities in the South will accept any instigation that they will move against Moanyang. Yes, her intention is to exploit and assume political naivety and simplicity of some ethnic communities that trust that the white man or woman is always right in her judgment and her findings. She writes and with authority, but this is not true. The Jiang army to Jiang to be victimized by others is what she is after, and therefore Dr. Berger is out to further advance Western assumption of primitivity of African ethnic communities, that they can be swayed and persuaded to fight one another even when they are in an independent country on the basis of unfounded rumors like what she is writing. Therefore, I think that Dr. Carroll intentionally started distorted reporting at the top of the leadership of South Sudan nation by creating a wedge between the leaders, between Kir, Mayadi, and Riek Machar, thinking that Kir is a Dinka and Riek is a Nuer, without understanding the fact that each is qualified to be a leader in his own right. And some of you will go back to know that if the situation went on normally in 2013, when elections were to be conducted in 2015, as we have mentioned in some of our documents, in our releases, the two releases that the JCE made some time back in January and February last year, 2021, if Riek Machar persevered and contested elections, there would have been a great possibility for him to be elected as the president of the government of Southern Sudan. As it happened in the case of Abel Alia with Joseph Lago, and in case of Abel Alia with the engineer James Tumara. So Southerners, whether they are Dinkas or non-Dinkas, they all see the logic and the partisan responsibilities and vote for the right person at the right time. So the structure of the SPLM that has brought into leadership General Salva Kiir Mayadi cannot be blamed because it was a movement of all the southern people. Dr. Berger has picked on very important factor, land disputes, in order to further her investigation. And she wrote, as you must have seen, that this working paper documents the strategy of the Dinka-led government of South Sudan to achieve dominance over the state instruments of power and claim land of non-Dinka. She is speaking on the land, having correctly identified land as being a major commodity and source of livelihood among still to develop societies of the third world. Dr. Berger capitalized on the land grabbing to be a ready agent of immediate conflict among the communities. Land is the basic means of survival in rural areas for peasants who by and large depend on subsistence agricultural produce for their existence, being a necessity for residential purposes, being a source of employment as it is now in Upper Nile, where there is oil industry, and the educated are finding jobs and claim that they should be employed because that is the land. She has also capitalized on the land boundaries by vehemently criticizing the creation of the 2832 states, describing it as a GM project of securing a wider political space to dominate other ethnicities. She overlooked the intended facts of Establishment Order number 36, 2015, which says a tool of extending development to the rural people. She instead explained away that the government objective was to let Jiang occupy lands of others. She also took it wrongly when the government propagated that taking towns and services to the people is delivery of services to the people in the rural areas, which meant to the government federal system of governance for decentralization of powers in accordance with Local Government Act 2009. These 32 plus states were ceremoniously adopted and confirmed by the people of South Sudan in their resolutions of the National Dialogue Conference 2021. After nearly 4 years of consultation and deliberations from grassroots to the national level, this was a fulfillment of the will of the people against control through the centralized authority of the colonial administration, which was also adopted by Khartoum Arab government. Dr. Berger neither condemned the creation of 3 provinces, 21 districts which were created by British colonial government, nor does she condemn the 10 states which were created by Khartoum government, against the wish of the people of the South, and against which the people of the South fought for 50 years, from 1955 to 2005. She dwelt on negative condemnation and criticism of GM settlement anywhere in the country as being a deprivation of other ethnicities. She advocated perpetuation of colonial policies of separate and segregated tribal ghettos of settlement. This is the essence of a policy of keeping each community far from the others, so that they remain strangers and enemies of one another. And this is what she has thought that would be a right thing to say. GM should not live with other people, whereas our people can cohabit anywhere. It is also a worldwide policy for the government to regulate land laws and not the community. The people rightly own limited traditional land of their ancestors for specific purposes, such as residential accommodation or agricultural schemes, but land is largely designated and allocated in towns, in cities, in payams, by the people for public utilities as well as accommodation. And this cannot be considered that it is the people that should distribute the land or should regulate the land as she is trying to advocate. She asserted that under General Salva Kiir Mayardit leadership, GM would be able to subjugate and lord over all other ethnicities. And this is what she wrote. The state has targeted Nilotic speaking population of Nuer, Shilluk, Bantu speakers from Equatoria, bordering Uganda and Kenya, Fertit, Balanda, and Luo, people of Greater Bangzal, remapping of all the country, ensuring a Dinka monopoly over national and regional decision making. That have brought this plan for the Dinka supremacy to fruition. This state has waged a brutal war in civilian areas, burning houses, huts, destroying foodstuffs, raping and massacring. This is unfortunate for her to reach that instigation. None of the GM have done that. As you all can now see that the other tribes are persuaded, wrongly of course, and convinced that what she has written is absolute plot. So they have taken up arms and campaign against GM, and this is what you have now seen, that the Nuer, the Shilluk, the Fertit, the Murle, and the entire Equatorial ethnic communities have taken up arms against Yang, as she wrote. I quote, while my research focused on the Dinka community, page 3, this campaign sought to ensure that one ethnic group, the Dinka, would control all political and military power. The drafters of 32 states, which has shifted control of most of South Sudan into the hands of Jiang. This is false, of course. The 32 states were made by the government to ensure that each community has the right to govern itself, and the government will provide facilities for each of these communities, and development projects and services will be rendered to all these communities in their respective districts, Payam, and states. So it was not intended as a weapon or domination. It was intended for efficient settlement. And if you go into history of other countries, you will see that this was done in Germany until the states found themselves they could not afford to support themselves economically, so they had to rejoin with one another. Similarly, the creation of the states is worldwide. You can see it in America. It has 51 or 52 states, and other countries has been done like that. If you talk of the 32 states and you talk of ethnic government, we have it in Ethiopia, and they have their own states. Even if they are quarreling, this is a naturally situation in the worldwide, that people can quarrel. Even in your own family, you can quarrel over resources, over anything that you own and you share. And then you can settle those quarrels without permanent bitterness. But what she is instigated is a permanent bitterness. When she interviewed me about the prospects of the current quarrels among ethnic communities, I related the circumstances subsequent to 1991 Nasser rebellion, and this is where she made a wrong quotation. Nasser rebellion was staged by Dr. Riek and Dr. Lam, and they massacred and killed those soldiers who were soldiers, whether they were officers, men, women, under them in Nasser. And they moved with their forces, their forces up to Bor, killing women, burning properties, destroying, and taking away even some girls into what you can call enslavement, because they were forcefully taken into marriage and taken away from their own parents without any agreement. So this has been what she construed wrongly. And now, in spite of reunification of the liberation factions in 2002, when Riek Machar and Lamakol went back to the SPLA, in 2006, when Salva Kiir called for Juba Declaration, that all the other southern militias, they should come back to the main SPLM. In spite of this, we can see that Equatoria in 2013, they have their own faction led by General Thomas Cirillo, and having training centers and arm supply in both in Uganda and Congo. Riek and Lam went back to Khartoum and were being supported. And all when the war broke out in 2013, again in 2016, people who were innocent, but because they are Dinkas, they were massacred in Bor, in Akobo, Nasser, Fanjak, Bentiu, and in anywhere left. They were also killed in Tonga, Kodok, where Shuluks were dominant. They were killed also in Yei, Torit, Yambio, Maridi, and another Equatorial district or Payam or state. And they were called, Dinka people were called MTN, that you can get anywhere and kill them. You call them all sorts of names, and they were killed. So this attack on Jiang, I say definitely that if we take an example of what has happened in other countries, it can happen. Attack can be run from the south by Equatorians against Jiang because of the land that has been they have been told that your land is being taken by Monjang. And the same thing that has happened in Upper Nile and Barghazal. The Fertit in Barghazal have taken up arms against the Dinka, and this is justified by Berger to be due to having been forced into refuge by Jiang's grabbing of land of non-Dinkas. In my interview, I told her that this is a common phenomenon in Africa, whereby opposing political parties mobilize on the basis of ethnicities. They then ally with the enemy, who is supporting them militarily and economically, and they can do what has happened in Rwanda when Tutsi went into exile in Uganda, and eventually they organized and they were supported by Uganda and invaded Rwanda, and the Hutus who were governing were all slaughtered. And now if anyone is doubting, you must say how long will the Hutus come back into any governance or any prominence. They have been hunted down in Uganda, in Burundi, in Congo, and they are no longer a viable community that you can talk of. And Mr. Kagame is the one who lived as from being a Tutsi. Similarly, we think that this is what could happen since the news that the Shillings and Feet have gone to join opposition supported by Khartoum, and the news are also in Ethiopia. They can invade from there and kill them as they are instigated from the south. Equatorians are angry because of what has been told them that they are land grabbing, and they can invade South Sudan and kill them. So this has been what Carol instigated. But what the Council of Elders was to have a meeting with all the tribal groups, and this is clearly stated in our document, and the document that I sent you. We met first of all under the leadership of three governors of Equatoria, Governor Kalaman Koma, Luis Luban, and Joseph Bakosoro, and we calmed the situation. And also we met with this, that was the whole of Equatoria, and there was no more war and no more running away. However, there has been instigation, not only by Berger alone, but even the man who was in charge of the prevention of genocide, Adama Adiang. Adama Adiang was coming from the UN and went to Yei and wrote that there is a potential massacre that will happen, a genocide that could happen in South Sudan. So this is a mentality of those who have come not to like the government of South Sudan. And therefore, JCE has been taken out of hatred and being made a target. Whereas we have made initiative and met with our fellow elders councils of Equatoria, different communities, as you have seen in the note. If you look at page 3, we have met with the Equatorian elders, Bari community, or Juba 5 communities. We have met with the Nuers inside Juba, and we came to meet the Nuers who were under Riek Machar in Ethiopia, in Kenya, under Laden Arab Moi, and we went back and met with the Zande under Honorable Angela Beda, and we met with the Fertit and the Luo and Dinka of Western Bargazal, under Joseph Okel and his group and different members, and we succeeded in bringing about some understanding that we could achieve. And therefore, for JCE, it has done all the efforts and persuaded our people never to avenge against one another. And therefore, you have seen that the Dinka communities in Warab accommodated Nuers of Bull. In Rumbek, they accommodated Nuers that came to they were done away from there. And I think we are clear that we have made negotiations, dialogue, reconciliation, and peaceful approach with our fellow tribal communities. And therefore, there is no hatred. It has been defined very clearly that it is not GM against other tribes. It is a political struggle between the leaders that use their tribal support, tribal base, as our communities are still tribally oriented, and our communities are still having constitution based on tribal settlement. And therefore, you easily go to mobilize your own tribe. We have the JCE clearly come open against non-interference from outside. So on our page 4 of the role of GM Council, you will read that we have made some resolutions against the UN resolutions 2020-06, 2304, 2241, and AU investigation committee, because they were also trying to instigate that there should be a trusteeship that would be established by the UN and with the support of the AU and IGAD. So we have rejected this interference, and then we are mature enough, educated enough, having committed to our nationhood, we can reconcile as it was done in UNLIT and other conferences that have been convened for our own togetherness. And therefore, we have rejected any external intervention, and we think that we should discuss. The only thing that we are trying to persuade everybody to work on are the leaders, individual leaders, who think that this is their right, and they insist that they should govern and they should rule without going for elections and being mandated by the people. So the JCE is out for elections that should be carried out and be supervised by regional and international observers. And therefore, we think, and I think that we have not gone wrong against our people. We are not working for disintegration of our country or fragmentation of our country, rather for the unity of our people and our country. And I thank you very much for listening. I would want to clarify one point, that if you can concentrate your questions on the JCE, the role JCE has done among our southern communities with other councils, because every community has its own council, and we have done sufficient work to normalize our relationship and decide to define the current situation as a political power struggle and resource struggle, control of power and resources by the leaders who are not necessarily mandated by their people. And we take example that when elections were done, and we went through these elections in 1974, there was no power struggle. It was a change, a peaceful change through a party and parliamentary system. So if it is presidential, then people have to vote whoever they want to rule them. As they voted for Abel Alia, as they voted for Joseph Oduho, or Joseph Lago, as they voted for GMS Tambara. So transfer of power must be peaceful and must be democratic. And therefore, concentrate your questions on what misreporting, disparaging reporting that has been done by Carol Berger to instigate bitterness among our communities, which we are rejecting. Thank you very much for listening, and I appreciate your.
Oh, thank you so much, Uncle Joshua, and thanks our audience for listening to the presentation from Uncle Joshua David. Now it's time for Q&A, but before we do that, I would like us to take a break for at least 5 minutes and then come back so we can refresh our minds, go and get your questions together, and then we can come for the Q&A. And when we come back, how the questions will be asked will be explained by Sister Teresa Bar or Akur Deng Bar will explain to us how the questions will be asked, because we have two ways to ask questions here, in the back channels as well as on the platform here. So let's take this moment here to take a break, at least get some water, get something to eat, and then we will come back again to convene our show and our meeting. Sister Ms. May, today you are a moderator and a DJ as well. Yes, take over from here and give us the music you got.
Thank you. Just give me one. All right, all right. Take it.
Yes. Thank you so much, Ms. May. You have been a wonderful DJ. Thanks for the song. Even though the artist sounds a little bit classic and Dinka, some of the words, we're going to have to look them up to find exactly what they mean, but the song was very sweet. Welcome back, my fellow co-moderators and the moderation assistant and the audience. Welcome back to the show. We are now going back into the Q&A session. And with that there, I would like to hand it over to Sister Teresa Bar or Apur Deng Bar to explain to us how the Q&A session will be done. Ms. Teresa, if you are listening to me, please activate your mic to explain the next session.
Hi everyone again. It's me, Teresa. I will thanks Uncle Joshua Bill for the good presentation. And then we have two ways for question, you can raise your hand and we can bring you up on the stage, and then you can ask your question. We have 2 minutes for each one to ask a question. The second way, you can send your question to Ms. May or John Wushang or Sister Deng or Sister Tony. That's 2 ways that you can answer. And thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Sister Teresa. Before you actually go, how many questions do you allow one person to ask?
Yes, we have 1 question.
Oh,
we have allowed 1 question for the person.
Exactly, clear enough. Thank you so much for that clarification. With that, I would like to honor, before anyone is given a chance to ask a question, I would like to honor and give a great deal of appreciation to our brother, John Wuchang. John Wuchang is a veteran of the SPLM, SPLA. He's one of those who have contributed for the liberation of our struggle. So on behalf of all the veterans of the SPLM, SPLA, I would like to give brother John Wuchang a special appreciation and give him a chance to ask the question with regard to the Young Council of Elders or to the article of Carol. Also, for those who have just joined the clubhouse, John Wuchang too is one of those who had been misled by the article of Carol, and I believe today that he have listened to the presentation from Uncle. I believe he will walk out today with a different view with regard to that article, because in some of the shows that Brother John Wuchang had been making, he had seemed to believe what Dr. Carol said. With that there, I will stop and I would ask Brother John Wuchang, if you're listening to me, please activate your mic. You have 3 minutes. We have given you the special treatment here for being the veteran of the SPLM, SPLA. You alone are given 3 minutes to ask a question or ask or add some comments. You are given 3 minutes, Brother John Wuchang.
Thank you all. I hope the 3 minutes will not be enough for me here after, because I have a lot of things to say, and I had wanted, if you can give maybe 5 minutes, it will be good, or even, how do you see? Because 3 minutes, I cannot able to talk in 3 minutes. I will be in a rush, and my mind will not be able to process things rightly.
Yeah.
You know, John Wuchang, sharing is caring, and as a family, we have to share. And we actually give you a special treatment here to give you 3 minutes instead of 2, just like anyone else. I think 3 minutes will be fair enough, and that's exactly part of the strategy we did here by giving people a break before Q&A, so that people can concise their questions. But anyway, I have been given a green light here. I have been given a green light here, Brother John Wuchang, for being a veteran of the SPLM, SPLA. Yes, your 5-minute request is granted. Go ahead for your 5 minutes, John Wuchang.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Robert, for coming. Welcome to Clubhouse. You, as a member of Young Council of Elders, you have been really, Young Council of Elders is one of the focal sticking problems within the communities of South Sudanese. The Dinkas today and non-Dinkas are having problems because of Young Council of Elders. And thank you for coming to listen to us. So without wasting time, I will just go word by word. Joshua Dow, you are one of the people in the book of Carol. You say the Nuer are going to be organized and armed to invade South Sudan. Equatoria will be made to invade South Sudan. And this is where the Dinka massacre will take place. That is one. Who are the invaders? Invading, the word invading alone, it applies only to foreigners. Equatorians are not invaders, are not foreigners. The Nuer are not foreigners. So did you say that word to Carol? You will go and answer. The other thing is also, we have been also told in the book of Carol that Joshua Dow is one of the person with a long history of incitement, spreading warning within the Dinka community against the intentions of Nuer. Did you spread the warning within the community of Dinka so that the massacre of 2013 took place? The other thing is that you have been given a responsibility to draw the map of South Sudan, in which you allocated the land of the Shilluk people to Dinka Apadang. Did you do that as Gen Council of Elders? And you have been really appreciating that you should be given a credit of drawing the map. The first question is that you said here unfinished business of that time. When people were fighting, there was unfinished business. The Dinkas are under threat. They have no border with other countries. They have no border with Ethiopia, with Kenya, with Uganda. They are in the center of South Sudan. And this is very dangerous. So in that regard, it resulted to many Dinkas going around the borders like Nemule, displacing people, and people who not able to come back. And today, good enough that you are from Bor. Majority of those people in Nemule are from Bor. And whatever is written in the book is actually reflected, consistent with what is taking place in the country. So, for me, I came to agree the book itself, the article of Carol, because it is consistent with what is taking place on the ground. For all these questions, Joshua, I believe you as an elder to us, as people of South Sudan, you are not an elder maybe to the Dinka alone. You are also an elder to all South Sudanese. In this regard, how will you see if you try to focus on the issue as a chairman of Gen Council of Elders, focus on the issue of the Dinka against the other non-Dinkas? What about if non-Dinkas are united against Dinka? Will it be a good thing? That is the question. That is a question, and that is I will stop there, and then you go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother John. You have really actually finished your question within 4 minutes. Thank you so much. On behalf of the veteran, you have spoken, and you can mute your mic, and you will be responded to. Sister Teresa, who is next?
Shouldn't we let him answer one question?
Okay. Yes, Uncle Joshua, if you are available and have heard the question from the veteran John, please activate your mic and give us.
Sorry, one second. So we should take 2 questions per time, and from 2 people getting to answer, or right?
Okay, then activate the hand raise so that people can raise their hands.
Let him answer.
Can I give summary by C?
No, John. Hold on.
To you moderators.
Let him answer questions of John first, and then after that, we will go for further rise. After being answered, John, can you please bring up Ambassador Gordon Boyd? We should give him.
Yes, so I think John has a few questions, so Uncle will answer first. Okay, yep.
Thank you very much, moderators. And I thank veteran John Ocham for raising these questions. The first thing I should have retorted is to ask John if he is a veteran, he should have accepted that South Sudan SPLM, SPLA is for every Southerner, every tribe in the South. That is the first thing. So to stop the idea that what JC is as being a sticking problem, others taking GM to be a sticking problem is not appropriate for a veteran to utter, because he has fought for us, for the Southerners, and for the land. Coming to what Mr. John has said, the quotation, as I explained it, is out of context. And therefore, the word invaders being for foreigners, yes, I said it, and I have explained it in the document, and I have explained it verbally, that if you are in Uganda and you are being organized as Equatorians in Uganda, in Congo, and being armed and cross the borders into South Sudan, that is invasion. Similarly, with the Nuers and the Shuluks and the Fertit organized in Khartoum in the north, which is an independent country and a foreign country, and coming into South Sudan, that is an invasion. And I have explained it clearly that this is what the Tutsi had done when they were refugees in Uganda and in Congo. They organized and were supported by those foreign countries and invaded their country and defeated the Hutus. So the invasion is when you are coming into somebody's country. You have left your country and you have gone to another country, and therefore you have invaded your own country from a foreign country. And that is what I have said. Up to now, you have support for Thomas Cirillo in Uganda, in Congo, with the training and armament. The same thing with the forces of IO back in 1991, and they remained there. And you can see Paulina Matip. You can go back to history. You can see Garwidwal and all the rest. They were invited back into the army in 2000 into SPLA, which you will remember. They were invited back to come in 2002 when you had your meeting in Chukudum. Again, they were invited back by Salva Kiir in 2006, Juba Declaration. So that is where they have come back to the south. The word incitement, question number two, the word incitement and warning against the massacre, Querel Berger took it from my background. I'm not an inciter. I'm a truth teller. When I was a member of parliament in Juba, after Addis Ababa agreement, and we had High Executive Council, I had to pick up the issue of Jonglei Canal. And we had to work against what the government was proposing, that the Jonglei Canal will be dug. I made my studies of it, and to all our people, I distributed my position paper in Juba, in Malakal, and in Wau. And when the people learned of the digging of the canal and it was going to be disadvantage for the South, the Southerners rose against the digging of the canal. Is that an incitement when you are a politician and you tell your people what is going to harm them? Is it incitement? If I have told the Nuers that don't do this, and I have said it to James when he was chief of staff, James, the Nuers are my people, the Dinkas are my people. They are going to fight, and the Nuers are going to start the fighting. And they have become number 75% in the SPLA as a result of 2006 absorption of the militias in the SPLA. They have become 75%, and they are going to fight according to what has been told to them. And by the way, John, you know that I'm from Punjab, and if you find me in Punjab, we have 2 languages. I speak the Nuer as much as any Nuer, and therefore I was elected by both Dinkas and Nuers in 1974. So the Nuers are my people. When I campaigned that this fighting should not take place, it was a warning against the fighting. Telling the Nuers, don't do that. Telling the Dinkas, be aware. So if this is what Carol has instigated you people to believe that I'm inciting, telling the truth, which happened immediately after that, and I've been telling them, and we have discussed this with the Nuers, and they know my position. That is not incitement. It is information which must make people to live in harmony. Number 3, drawing the map of the South. There has not been a map of the South that has been drawn by the 28 states or the 32 states, which was declared by the government. It was not JCE. It was the government that decreed the establishment of the 28 and 32 states. And if there was any influence that anybody has appreciated, we have appreciated that, so that each community, each district, each state can govern itself with the support of the central government, and not the central government to dominate and to be a dictator in the center. So our appreciating the creation of 32 states is a fact. And Kodok for the Shilluk has been made, Fashuda has been made a state. Just like Kapoita has been made a state, Torit a state, Tarageka made a state. This is to empower the local people, all our local people, to be given necessary services, and not a domination by the Dinkas. Dinkas can work anywhere. Murle can work anywhere. Zande can work anywhere, wherever they feel that they are competent and they compete, and they will be hired according to their specialization by any government, by any state. And this is not to segregate anybody or take the land by anybody. In the state, it is empowerment of the local people to administer their own land and distribute it accordingly. So the drawing of the creation of the 32 states is empowerment to everybody that deserves administration and decision making. Number 4, which is, you say that there was unfinished business. I don't know what you mean by Dinkas having no borders. Yes, Dinkas have no borders with anybody. They don't have borders with Congo, with Central African Republic, with Ethiopia, with Uganda, except the small corridor of Rang to Khartoum. That's the only corridor that the Dinkas might have. But the rest, the Dinkas are landlocked. And if the forces of Riek Machar have gone to the north, and that means they have blocked the Dinkas from getting to the north. And therefore, Dinkas have no borders. But when the Dinkas, who are affected one way or another by floods, by famine, and they move to another area, such as Nimule, in search of survival and means of livelihood, they should be welcomed by their host population. Like as you are in America, in Canada, in Australia, in Britain, you are welcomed by that government, and you are accommodated. You don't claim the land, but you are a human being to be given means of survival, whether it is a job. You get your children to hospitals, you get your children to schools, you get your children to be well protected and given services. So if that is the case, why should we say that it is a land grab? Why should we deny them the right of accommodation? And you define it as, and the land is very vast to us. If you were to come to Malakal, you have
network uncle in the real.
Divide whatever they call themselves outside. And therefore, we say this should not be pursued by civilized people. Let us accommodate ourselves as much as we can based on the needs of individuals. Therefore, we have not grabbed any land in, and unfortunately, you did not, Carol misled you, John, to think that I'm from Bor. I'm not from Bor. I'm from Punjab originally, but became independent from Punjab, and I'm from PG County. PG is a different, and I'm from by section. I'm Padang. So I'm near to Malakal, 18 miles away from Malakal, and over 200 miles from Bor. Therefore, I'm not from Bor. That is unfortunate information that she has misled many people that I'm from Bor. I'm from Padang, and it was introduced to you by the panel. So what I'm concluding is that GM going to Limne, going to Yambio, going to everywhere because of crisis and catastrophe in their area is not invasion, is not going to take the land of some people. They can be accommodated, they can be assimilated, they can be given services. When they want to go back, they can go back. So I think that that I have answered you. If you have some queries, I can come back to you later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Uncle Joshua, for the response to Brother John. I hope, Brother John, you are satisfied with the answer. And I know, Uncle, when you study theology, it becomes very difficult to not tell the truth. Thank you so much for the answer. Ms. Teresa Hart, who's next in the list?
The next person is Gordon Boyd.
Hello?
Gordon Boyd, you can active your,
So I thank the moderator for bringing our uncle to answer some false allegations that were raised by Carol Berger. I think last week there was some other forum that we discussed this issue, and I talked at length to dispute most of the false allegations raised by Carol Berger. As Uncle already mentioned, she doesn't even know that Uncle is from Greater Punjab, and now he is from Fiji. For that reason, by itself, it shows that Carol Berger, I don't know what he was writing.
Raise your
Hello?
voice a little bit. Yeah, raise your voice a little bit. Your voice is
Okay.
Okay,
Maybe. Yeah, so what I was saying, the fact that she doesn't even know that Uncle Joshua is from Fiji or Greater Punjab, then shows that she, whatever she writes there, most of it is based on falsehood, not truth. For example, in her that working paper, you would even see very false allegation, because the 2013 fighting has nothing to do with a Dinka as a community having an agenda of taking lands from other communities. Even she did not even give us a shred of evidence. Do the Dinka have a land issue with the Nuer to the point that the 2013 war was caused by the Dinka attempt to take Nuer land? That one is false, not true, because the conflict in 2013 was caused by the political power struggle in Juba. It has nothing to do with the Nuer having problem with the Dinka on the issue of land. So if you read an article, you would assume you would be made to believe falsely that the Dinka and the Nuer have a land dispute, which is not. So that one by itself, it shows that Carol Berger article was based on propaganda, which was already existing. And the propaganda that was existing, that was spearheaded by opposition fighting the government, was that they want to vilify the Dinka community. And to do that, you have to target a vulnerable group like Dinka cancer elders. You know, last week I was telling people that, do you people know there is Nuer cancer elders, which is existing in Juba, and the chair of that council is General James Wood. Why people are not talking about it is because to vilify our government and some of these people took up arms to fight to topple our president Salva, then they have to connect with the community by making propaganda that is being controlled by Gen Council, which is not the fact. The creation of 28 states, how 28 states came about, one day the politicians will talk. There were even Equatorians, because the proposal that was made, individual people who expressed their views from Gen Council, they were doing it as individuals. They were not the people who created 28 states. Even if I was telling people that if we go with the opinion of some of the members of Gen Council elders, their opinion was closer to 21 states of Lake Machar, because most of these people were people who ruled, they were former administrators during in the 70s. These are veteran politicians. And their proposal was closer to them, not to the government. What came out as a 28 state was the give and take of politicians, including Equatorians, but I cannot mention their name, because there are Equatorians in the government who had their own vested interest. They said, no, I need this for my state, I need this and this, and it became 28 states. It has nothing to do with the Gen Council elders. If we follow the opinion of Gen Council elders, we would end up with something closer to what Riek Machar read on 28 states, based on the 21 states of Riek justifying it. And the proposal of some members of Gen Council elders was closer to Riek than to the government. But nobody wants to talk about it because they want to vilify the government, to say that the government is controlled by one tribe in order for others to hate the government, then to develop hatred against our. It's very good. I really appreciate the uncle to come to dispute all this nonsense, because most of it, and these are the facts. Many Junubin will not be carried by propaganda that is targeting on ethnic group. I don't think we can build a nation by targeting ethnic community. And this is exactly what Carol Alberto wants to say, that Junuba Sudan cannot be governed. It is just a broken nation, and that was the objective, because they have to justify why the UN forces should stay in South Sudan. And that working paper, by the way, was commissioned by the UNIMIT. She was given money to study the problem in South Sudan and give it to the UNIMIT. So the UNIMIT will go and give it to the UN to justify why the UN forces will continue staying in South Sudan. And for that, they have to give a bad picture of the country, that this country reminds the future which you know, and then to justify even the UN takeover, because there were people who advocated for UN trusteeship. We had to fight them here. Some of them were even, one of the vocal people was Paganamum. Paganamum went as far as hiring American lawyers to convince the US government that South Sudan should be put under UN trusteeship. And there were voices, people like Hilde Johnson advocating that in the UN level. So for you to justify the UN trusteeship, you have to say that the Dinka who are in power have an agenda to commit genocide. And that's exactly what Carol Berger wanted to do. What I want to tell is good, you, the rest of people are hearing. I think people should, I believe, not. Sometimes it pains my heart how some people would even believe Kawaja more than believing themselves. You can go and do your own research and find out that this is the truth. But you will wait for Kawaja, a colonial power, to come and tell you what to do. This is very painful for us. So this is what I want to say. Thank you.
Okay, can I just
Yes.
mention something?
Yes, go ahead.
I would like to inform the audience that we will not be able to bring all of you guys up. So please, if you can, direct your question through the back channel to John, Miss May, Tony, and myself, so that way we can pass your question on to Uncle Joshua. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Nyandeng, and thank you so much, Ambassador Gordon Boyd. Thanks for your service to our country in Washington, D.C. And thank you so much, too, for making yourself available for your people in social media. You are one of the government employees that had been interacting with the public here. For that reason, that I give you a big deal of appreciation. If you don't mind, follow me back, because we're going to have a lot to discuss. Because clearly, Brother Gordon, there is too much confusion going on in our communities, and it will need people like you to clarify things out, or else we are going to go as a confused society. And with that there, I'm sure Ambassador Border Boy did not have a question, but he had comments, so therefore there is no question directly. Ms. May, you can hear me, take it over from me.
Thank you, Juan. Thank you. Yes, so Gordon, thank you so much, Ambassador Gordon Boy, for the addition to what our topic is on today. Teresa is the one that's in charge of presenting the next people to ask the question. So please, Madam Teresa, take it over.
شكرا جزيلا مسز مي. أنا بشكر أمباسادور جوردن بوي لكلام السمح اللي قالوا لنا. هسه the next speaker هيكون أبونا مايا. أبونا مايا، أفتح مايك ودهشة. Floor is yours. Thank you.
First of all, let me say thank you for this opportunity, and please excuse me, and I'm sorry I'm in very crowded places here where I am. Some of the noises, please be not much. What I'm thanking God for is we can see today among us Uncle Joshua is among us. That Carol, you know, somebody will get to ask himself or herself, what is this really girl is looking for? Is anthropologists in case to try to describe some of the tribes in South Sudan. We have 64 tribes in South Sudan. And you come and try to, that means you have an idea. The whole thing that this lady is putting down in that book. That's first. Secondly, let me say thank you, Joshua, for coming here to clear some of the confusion that we have. It's in the history, as a Sudanese or South Sudanese, we are very intellectual people. But lately we become very confused citizens that don't even know the truth from the lies. And that's will drag our country to the bottom of the ocean. And that's somebody like you to come because we don't know you as, according to me, in my reading to the history, according to me, as I know you, you are not coming as one of just, you know, representing a tribe, because you are a politician and you lead a politician high rank in Sudan, and you did that well, followed 1972 agreement. So you are there for the people of South Sudan since the beginning of this era of the history of South Sudan. So somebody can come now and demand you and you know and put the shame on you, and because you tell the truth, that is going to be something we very regret about it. And that's why my prayers always for the Sudanese people. And thank you. You came here, and please encourage people like you, encourage our brothers, our other community to come and give us some insight in their own perspective. Because now, if we don't rescue our country, and that lot of fight is to divide the cake of this country. And that dividing the cake is everybody can go his own way. And that's the thing. There will be no something called South Sudan. So my appeal, and by the way, I am in good health, talking to you and good health. I met you last year, and now we try to meet you here again. You know, to see whether there is a way we can bring our elders from other communities because that's telling the story in one side will tell, like now, brother boy, thank you, he came. He's not the eldest, but he told some of the truth that we need to hear. But if that comes from the elders from where, that will be more loaded and be more respect, and that's will be more helpful to from somebody telling. Because if some golden boy telling it, you're going to be golden boy, maybe he buying his position, he's going to be doing this because he want to be there in his own position as ambassador and all those kinds. But we need the truth in this time. If we need this country to go ahead, we need the truth to come out from all the entire 64 tribes from countries called South Sudan. Because we are very confused, especially we live in diaspora. I am one of them. We live in diaspora. We kind of,
Abuna, your network is very poor. Maybe. Abuna?
Yes, Abuna, if you can hear us, your network is buffering. We cannot hear you. Yes, it seems like you're connected again now, so go ahead and unmute yourself and then continue.
And guys, please, let's make it short.
Yes, it looks like Abuna is having network issues there. Other than that, in his remarks, it doesn't look like there was any question in it. So they were just comments. And if his network becomes good later on, and then he can come back. If he has any question to ask, he can come back again. But for now, we will look into the list from Sister Teresa. Teresa, who is next in the list?
شكرا جزيلا أول. The next person هسه حيكون Peter Nyaba.
Excuse me, to the audience and the panelists also, Uncle Peter Adwok Nyaba is also in the room with us here. Thank you, Dr. Nyaba, for being with us. You, Uncle Aldo, Joe, and now Uncle Joshua made yourself available for us. It means a lot to us with the social media generation, because we had been ridiculed. We had been told that the social media is for kids. But there is no another better way you can send message to us or give us some corrections or inform us aside from the social media nowadays. So thank you, Uncle Peter Nyaba.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think I got the chance, and I want to greet everybody in the room. Also, I want to commend Reverend Honorable Joshua Dow for his presentation, which was quite eloquent and nice. I enjoyed it, and but honestly, brothers and sisters, this is a paper, a research paper, and if you want to rebut, you want to make a rebuttal to a research paper, you present counter facts. It's not just denial that this did not happen or so. No, nobody will be convinced. In the scientific world, people will not be convinced by just denying. You must present counter facts. I read this paper. I read it 2 years ago. And in fact, I'm surprised when I hear Joshua trying to deny what he even said himself. What he even said himself. He's trying to deny as if it is something which is, and he's not saying that he is being misquoted. No, he is being quoted, and this is what he presented in the interview. So this is completely wrong, Joshua. Let me tell you, it is wrong because you are not even correcting the situation by denying some of what you have already said. You are not correcting the situation. I'm not asking a question. I'm making a comment. I said, please, And it is important for us to discuss these things. It's good.
Uncle.
No, don't interrupt me, please.
No, with due respect, I wouldn't want you to respond. It's a question. If not, we will drop you down.
No, but this is a discussion. This is a research paper.
With due respect, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lee.
Yes, I hope one day, Dr. Nyaba, if you, it seems like you have an opinion in the way Uncle Joshua responded. What we will do is that we will organize a debating room to where you and Uncle Joshua can debate this out so that we can hear the two sides of arguments. But for now here, we want to focus mainly on the presentation that was done by Uncle Joshua. Hang in there, we will create a room for you. We will give you a room to debate Uncle Joshua if he's available. But for now, we don't want the audience to lose the focus on the presentation which was done today. Sorry about that. And Sister Teresa, you look into the line and.
Excuse me. I just want to say that to the audience down, then also to what happened to Nyeba. I beg you, moderators, please let us have respect to all these elders of ours. Robin is our elder. Yaba is our elder. When he wants to make a comment, why don't you allow him to make a comment? And then just only embarrassing like that is not good. If that is the case, I cannot, some of us also can leave. It's not good. Bring him up, let him finish his comment. Thank you.
That's okay, John. Thank you so much for your opinion. It's good to know. And if you are here because there are some people that you think should be here, if they're not here, then you can be here. Then yes, you can drop yourself. That's fine. Sister Teresa, please tell us who is next in the list.
Thank you as well. The next person on the list, I think it's Aluel. Sister Aluel, you can come up if you have anything.
Oh, you can move on now. I have nothing to say right now.
Okay.
Well, can I say something, please?
Can you guys mute James, please? I do have a question from the audience by one of our brothers.
Not yet. We're not answering questions from the back channel. Just wait.
Okay.
Okay. The next person, I want to start James. James, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. The reason I was one of the listeners down there, but I disagree with what you did to Dr. Nyamba. He should be there. He should speak his mind. He should do, and then Uncle Joshua will have to either ignore his claim or answer them. But this is the debate. You should not do that. Please, and I beg you.
Listen here. Listen, the audience and those of you who are given chances to come up here. Please, if you are here, do not come here to tell us what to do. If you have a question, go straight to the questions. Okay, we know what we are doing, and if you need, we are going to have evaluation session later on. You can join us in the room and tell us what to do next. But if you come here to give us instruction as to what to do, we are going to lose the focus of the presentation. Please respect that. John, if you are here, James, if you are here for a question, please go straight for the question, please.
Oh, okay. The question is to you guys, you the moderator, because I've seen this in other rooms, and was respected room.
Sir, we are not doing the presentation. Don't judge our performance, okay?
I'm not judging your performance. I'm just saying.
Can somebody just stop him? It's not
all right. Let me say something before we go ahead. The audience, everybody.
Jama, I'm being disturbed by people, all non-thinkers. You can drop yourself down then. Drop yourself.
Yeah, I've dropped John. Okay. I want to put this straight. The reason we organize, the purpose for organizing this room today has been laid out from the beginning. So if you came in late, you could have, let me, I'm doing a mute. If you had come in late, you may have not known the purpose of today. The purpose of today is a response to Carol Berger's report. The report, I believe most of you have read it, most of you have analyzed it in most of your shows, including John has done that extensively. Uncle Joshua has responded in a written form, in detail, and then we just wanted today to hear from him and what's his in his response to the report itself, because it has been he has been reference. You know, he has been quoted in the report many times. So we are here to listen to Uncle Joshua. We are here to listen to his response to the report itself. Dr. Adwok Nyaba, with due respect, he has been on Clubhouse many times. He has been invited in many rooms. There is a space for him to present his presentation based on what he thinks about it, as in scientific analysis or whatever. I believe he may have done that, or if he hasn't, then any of you in the audience here have a chance to create a room anytime, today, tomorrow, and please let him present to you. We are here strictly for Uncle's response as an individual, and that's it. So if you're coming here to come and dictate this, we will drop you, okay? We will continue each and everyone that's up here to ask a question, straightforward to the question. If you just want to make a comment, we will drop you because we're not giving comments. Madam Teresa, you can take up your role, please. Thank you.
Madam Teresa, may I say something? Please, Joshua.
Yes. Yes, you can go ahead. Yeah.
I would beg the leadership of the panel to let Peter Adwok say something. I know him very well, and this afternoon he had written to me about what he is saying to you now, and I would and I have read his paper, another paper. So I would be glad if let him be given the opportunity to. Whatever, I will not be disappointed with him because we have been discussing, we are friends. Allow him to say something instead of letting your podium be disturbed. I will bear with him, and as we do. Thank you.
All right, Uncle, with respect to you, we will invite him back up with your request. So I will look for him in the audience and I'll bring him up.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Adwok, if you're in the audience, please raise your hand so I could bring you up. I can't find you. Moderators, if any of you can see him, please bring him up. Is Peter Nyaba. Yeah, it's probably. We'll just go ahead while we find him. So we'll just give a chance to the next person to ask a question.
Please, I'm ready to ask a question only. I am ready to ask a question somewhere.
Look here, Samuel. This is the problem with you people. You don't come here and act like you're in a hurry and you want to make momentum. I'm going to drop you until you're ready to.
No, you ask. Now you ask.
Our next in question to ask a question. Abuna hasn't finished. So Abuna, I think you wanted to ask a question or finish your remark before being network hit time. So please go ahead. Abuna, are you there?
Yeah, I am here. Let me stay behind a little bit, okay? Let the other people ask the question, and if they're good, then I will do it at the end. Thank you. Hello?
Buna, but okay. You will be next, or
Yeah,
we will.
Yeah, you let the other people go ahead and ask their question, very important question. Those who are impatient now to talk, let them do that, and let me leave behind, please. Thank you.
No worries, thank you. This Dr. Adok Nyaba, we apologize that we dropped you. If you're in the audience, please, with the request of Uncle Joshua, we would like to bring you back up. So please raise your hand. Raise your hand and I'll bring you back up. And I apologize for that. Thank you. The next person, while we wait for him to come back, is it? What, Madam Teresa, I don't know the line.
أنا بس عايزين يا جماعة بس سؤال أي زول نقول له